What's going on, everyone? Corey here with Xbox Tavern and Gaming Tavern, back with another review. Today, I'm taking a look at Cat God Ranch. This is a quirky game. It's a strategy game with some roguelite elements, to me, some card deck building type elements that you'll see as the gameplay evolves. This game is a game that kind of falls into the same category for me as Balatro or Clover Pit of recent fame. And it's one of those numbers go burr type games where you're trying to build up a total from whatever, the game happens to be. And with this game, you're building your farm. You are getting animals. Each day you get an animal to pick from. And with that animal comes some kind of situation. They may just straight up give you currency or gold, or they may only give you gold if they are next to another animal. Maybe one animal only gives you something if they eat another animal that is adjacent to them. There are so many different animals to pick from in this game. There are different classes or families of animals, from hoofed animals to insects to even dinosaurs in the latest update. And within each one is more than a dozen different animals in that family, and they are all unique, and they really do fit together like a puzzle in terms of efficiency. So it is really a strategy game at heart, where you are kind of studying the cards and figuring out what they give you. And then, of course, it's all up to the RNG gods to give you the right pulls. Now, as you can see, you have some limited number of spaces on your farm. As the game grows, those spaces don't grow, but the types of spaces will change as well, depending on if you are upgrading them in your shop purchases, which we'll talk about in a minute. These different spots, as they change, will give different buffs and nerfs to different animals, so that's something else to think about in this game. And what you're trying to accomplish is getting enough gold to pay tribute to the cat god. And this is, I think it's a weekly goal. You have a countdown of how many days you have left to reach that target. And if you reach it by that target, then you get to move on and carry on and keep going until you reach the end of whatever the last wave is for that level. If you don't, then game's over. You try again. Now, where this game is a little bit more complex than just doing that is that you're constantly progressing in order to unlock more cards, because not everything is unlocked right from the beginning. There will be, like I said, classes of animals that you won't even have unlocked at the beginning of the game. As you play and progress through the levels, there's no real story to it. You will unlock more classes of families. Within each one, though, you will not have access to all of the cards within it until you discover them. Some will come simply by playing the game. They all come by playing the game, but some will come by doing certain actions multiple times, and some will really be reliant on other animals that you find. So there can be kind of a daisy chain effect in order to unlock the full potential. So there is quite a bit of playability here in terms of trying to unlock everything. Now, that said, I mentioned levels. There is levels in this game where the difficulty increases in various ways, whether you have less things to start out with or you have stuff on the board that's already there that you have to deal with. Things like that will make it, more or less difficult. And once you complete a level, let's say you get to the end of the last wave, you made enough money to beat the level, you will be given the option of playing in endless mode or stopping it and going back to the menu, cashing all your stuff in, all your stats, and moving on. Whenever you finish a game, whether that's via losing or winning, that's when like everything is kind of calculated and you'll see new cards are unlocked. So there's always a sense of like mystery of like, ooh, what does that card do, to kind of get you playing again. Not to mention all of these rounds that you're playing, they're probably going to be anywhere from like a quick 7, 8, 9, 10 minute run to probably something more along the lines of 15, 20 minutes. Nothing too long and nothing too short. So it's very good at one of those just one more run kind of games in there. Now, of course, as you play the game, it's not all about just managing your animals, putting, mixing and matching the cards that will go together, because again, it is RNG based off what you get. There are other types of currencies that you will get while playing the game that will allow you to re-roll those cards. There are item shops that appear. Those items that you can buy have, obviously some positive and, well, I think mostly positive effects on your gameplay, but those are RNG based as well. Those items are also cards that you have to discover and play in order to have them appear in the game. So it's that constant progression, which I think is a good thing. The part that I actually don't like about this game is, and this is a personal thing, it becomes a lot to handle later on when you do have almost, for me, almost everything unlocked. It is a lot to kind of manage. I want to try all the cards. So trying to remember what does what, although I can read each time, that slows down the gameplay. And I think if you were playing this game fully and focused, this probably wouldn't be as much of an issue. But it just is a lot to handle. I think for me, you can only take in 3 families at one time anyways. So if you get really good and find a really good combination of families, you'll probably stick with them, although the game will get repetitive at that point. But if you want to switch and learn different ones, and again, like I said, you do have to play with others to finish out other families. You're doing a lot of experimentation, which again, it plays to the aspect of this game will last long for you, but at what point does that become too much? And a lot of times in these games that just want you to keep playing and playing and playing, I feel like the big fun is to see how far you can push the game. With this level based system, although it did give me the opportunity to play endless mode afterward, it's kind of like, well, that's not going to do me as much good. It will unlock some cards if I can do those actions that I need to do, but ultimately I'm going to have to quit out to the main menu eventually and go back and kind of start over and do it again for the next level, no matter how overpowered I got at that particular moment. So I don't know, there was just something there that it was a lot to handle with as many different families as they give me, and the fact that it's kind of like short spurts and long runs didn't help me as much. I guess that was my main issue. There's some like language localization that comes up and like spacing issues and stuff like that, but those are far and few between. It's just something I picked up on and noticed. It was a fun game at first, but for me, it kind of weaned off before I found every single card. But again, looking kind of through the descriptions that I can see on how to unlock those cards, I'm going to be playing this game for a very, very long time. So if that's something that you are into and this looks like fun, like this is again a strategy game at its core with some roguelike elements as you kind of go in and pick and choose some different things. One of the things I haven't mentioned yet is the different cat gods and some of the bonus buffs that you can take into games. As you unlock those, you can kind of bring those into the run, so you can craft it a little bit, but it is ultimately up to RNG. So if this game looks like it would get you addicted to it, it probably will, because it is one of those types of games, and it did me early on. Like I just wanted to do one more run, one more run, one more run, and it was fun. Just eventually it kind of wore off on me. So take that for what it's worth. I hope you are intrigued by the gameplay here, and if it looks intriguing, go ahead and give it a look. But that will do it for me for Cat God Ranch. I will see you in the next one.